Hello, welcome to The State. We are glad you could join us. On this show, we probe the issues and dig the solutions. Thank you for choosing us. You always do, and we remain forever thankful. My name is Gabriel Nii Otu Ankrah. Stay for details.
Oh yes, the solution to all your travel needs is here. 𝗟𝗩𝗡 Lodge and Travel Services offers you the opportunity to travel to the following countries: Canada, United States of America, Turkey, Dubai, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Malta, Germany, and other European countries, where skilled workers such as nurses, paramedics, nannies and caregivers, drivers, plumbers, masons, electricians, carpenters, painters, etc. are needed for urgent employment. 𝗟𝗡𝗡 Lodge and Travel Services can secure your Schengen visas with work permits. Individuals, organizations, churches, schools can contact us for their ticketing and hotel reservation, car rental services, international tour packages, travel consultation, visa assistance, and study abroad packages to all countries. We are located at Mr. Bates bus stop opposite the Calvary Baptist Church at Abaka, Accra, or contact us on these numbers: 0544 27 9525 or 0545 622 672 or 0302 237557. 𝗟𝗡𝗡 Lodge and Travel Services, your destination, our pride.
Welcome back. Let us settle for W Breeze. On W Breeze, what we do is to give you a sneak peek into the topic for discussion for the day. We give you an executive summary. So mental health is a growing global concern. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates that 1 in every 8 people worldwide is affected. By 2030, depression is projected to become the world's #1 leading disability. Depression. In Ghana, the situation is of more, is even more worrying and alarming, but because the statistics reveals that 1 in 5 Ghanaians, if there are 5 Ghanaians and you pick one of them, definitely would have experienced mental health condition in their lifetime. 5 Ghanaians, you pick one. He or she would have experienced a mental health in his or her lifetime. An estimated 13% of Ghanaians have mental health challenges, with 3% experiencing severe conditions. All 30 million plus people, 13% have mental health issues and challenges. Mental health challenges are broad. So we talk about mental health, it is broad. There are conditions that the experts tell us it affects the person's feelings, their thoughts, and their behaviors. Even to some extent, it affects how they function in society. So it is broad when we are talking about mental health. And the challenges range from mild, moderate, and then it moves on to severe. I'm sure the severe ones are the ones you might have concluded by yourself that you see them on the streets, and that, but it starts from mild, moderate, and then it gets there. Young people are predisposed to a range of mental health issues: depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and suicide behaviors are the topmost mental health issues among young people in Ghana. See, all the young people in Ghana, these are the issues, that mental health issues that affect them. The month of May is known as Purple Month. Purple Month, and it is set aside by the Mental Health Authority to advocate for improved mental health infrastructure and services. So they were purple. It's just Purple Month, and it is for them to advocate for improved mental health services. The 2025 edition of Purple Month is themed Mental Well-Being, My Voice Matters. Mental well-being, my voice matters. But to what extent will this observance, a year-long celebration, month-long celebration, highlight the issues that the young people of Ghana must grapple with, the mental health challenges among the youth? What extent will this highlight it? So we are asking that with the high incidence of reported cases of mental health among the youth, we are asking on the show today that is Ghana facing a crisis with its most productive workforce having mental health challenges? We'll find out on the show. Stay, I'll be back. Welcome back. This is The State, and on The State today we are looking at mental health. Mental health is broad. It ranges from so many issues. I mentioned how the feelings, the thoughts, and even the behavior. And your mental health affects how you function in society. The statistics are staggering. About 2.2 million of the Ghanaian population have mental health issues, grappling with it. 3% of these have severe conditions. I don't want to say everybody has mental condition, everybody is mad, like we say in the Ghanaian parlance. But on the show today, when we say mental well-being, what is it? We are looking at mental health. When we say mental health well-being, what do we mean? Particular focus on the youth, the most productive workforce of the country. So mental well-being among the youth. We have as our guest, she's a psychiatrist at the 𝗟𝗩𝗪 Teaching Hospital. She's also the deputy head of communications at the Mental Health Authority. Very versed in the matters, in practice and in theory and in communication, to help you, our viewers, to understand the conversation. She is Dr. Josephine Styles Darko. Doc, welcome to The State.
Thank you very much.
We're glad to have you.
I'm glad to be
here. And we can see you are purpled. It's a purple month. So Doc, yes. So first off, preliminary comments. Just tell us briefly about Purple Month. What is it about?
Okay. So Purple Month is an initiative by the Mental Health Authority. It is a month of awareness creation set aside to educate the Ghanaian populace about mental health matters. It is aimed at reducing the stigma that exists and surrounds mental health, and we believe that as the knowledge gets out there, as we are able to dispel the myths around mental health, we would, as a people, become more conscious of our mental well-being, and we would be able to take charge and prevent some of the common mental illnesses.
Very well. And the focus this week, you know, it's a whole month.
Yes.
Yes. What is supposed to be happening? What has been happening till now?
Yes. So we started off right from the 30th of April with a national launch. And then we had a float in the streets of Accra just for some publicity, creating awareness. And then last week we focused on maternal mental health with our mothers. And then this week we are focusing on the youth. So mental health matters of the youth. Of the youth,
very well. Mental health matters of the youth. And viewers, your church, the Methodist Church Ghana, is proudly partnering with the Mental Health Authority in this regard. As some of you have noticed on all our social media handles, we have the flyers doing education on mental health. And today we are in the studio with Dr. Josephine Styles Darko, who is a psychiatrist with the Kalibu Teaching Hospital and also Deputy Head of Communications at the Mental Health Authority. So, Doc, when we say mental well-being, what do we mean?
All right. So when we talk about mental well-being or mental health, we are referring to a state in which a person is able to function appropriately. The person is able to cope with the stresses and the different pressures of life. The person is able to reach their potential, achieve all that they are to achieve, and also able to contribute meaningfully to their society. So if a person is able and capable of doing all this, then we say that this person has mental health.
So how is it measured? I'm curious. How do you tell the capability?
Yes. So when we talk about it being a state of well-being, it just goes to tell you that it's not just two sides to the coin. It's a spectrum. So you realize that I mentioned our ability to cope with the stresses, our ability to reach our potential. So at every point in time, we are all on some part of that spectrum of wellness, okay, depending on what is happening around you. There are times that you'll be down a bit, you come back up. There are times that you are a bit excited, more than usual because of what is happening, and then you come back to baseline and it fluctuates like that. But where there is a challenge, then you may stay at one end for much longer than is expected.
That is the state you are in. I have some friends that they won't attend Old Students Association meetings, and personal discussions with them where we all finish school at the same time. Some of you have built houses, some of you have gotten cars, so we don't want to come and mingle. We feel bad. Is that a state?
Yes. So you realize that when we talk about mental health and mental wellness, there are a lot of things that interconnect.
Sure.
Yes. So one of them, and usually the one that we are not able to do much about, is our biology, your makeup, your genetics. That's usually we are unable to do much about. But the other aspect is the psychological and the social. So when people have certain thoughts and it affects how they feel, it shapes their behavior. So if somebody is thinking that, oh, my mates are far ahead of me and I don't want to go, and somebody will ask you, oh, where are you building your house? Which car did you come in? And all that. And then it makes the person feel bad. That is the psychological and then the social aspects. So sometimes these can shape how we react, how we behave in certain circumstances. But that's definitely, we cannot sit here and say that because the person feels that way, this person is mentally ill. Because this person may be functioning very well, they may be doing all that they have to do. It's just a thought and a feeling they have about a particular issue. But even with this, there are ways of helping the person to overcome this, and then, I mean, just feel free and come out and mingle.
Mingle, very well. Now let's look at the youth, because that's the focus for the conversation and for mental awareness or advocacy this week. Yeah. Let's look at some of the issues that confront them. So we're going to do in-depth discussion of those issues. Okay. In no particular, let's look at depression among the youth.
All right. So, like you rightly stated at the beginning, depression is one of the common mental health issues that we see. And among the youth, typically, maybe even before I go into depression, let me make this statement. Usually, for mental illnesses, most of them start at a very young age. So we have about 50% of mental illnesses that we see in adulthood. The onset is before the age of 18. And even if we come to about 25 years, about 70-75% will start before that age.
Before that age.
So it tells you that adolescence, teenage, early adulthood ages are very, very critical. Yes, so yes, depression is one of the common illnesses. And when it comes to depression, most of the time people use depression when they are referring to sadness. But depression is a lot more than sadness. Yes, there's sadness in depression, but this sadness is a bit more persistent. It stays with the person every day, throughout the week, usually 2 weeks or more. And the person is unable to break out of it. The person may be having crying spells. That is, they just sit and break down, start crying. Sometimes they can't even tell what is happening. They may have low energy levels. They are unable to do their daily chores and things like that. They may lose interest in things that they usually would love doing, their hobbies and all that.
So the means previously they were functioning.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then you realize that they have just lost interest. So this person was a fan of football all over the place, and now they don't really care who is playing and all that. Yes, that could be a sign of depression. And then also they may have poor concentration, inability to focus and pay attention when they are doing certain tasks and things like that. That could also one of the signs of depression. And then if the condition gets worse, sometimes they feel this sense of hopelessness, and they may even feel like their life is no longer worth living. And that is when they start having these thoughts of they wish they were dead, and then some start having suicidal thoughts of ending their own life. Yes. So these are some of the signs when it comes to depression.
There have been instances where the pressure for the young ones, the youth, especially those in schools, academically to excel, can that cause them to be depressed?
Yes, so you see, I mentioned about the environmental and the social factors. So when we talk about we call it psychosocial. Okay, so all these pressures around them, it can be pressure from the family. Sometimes we are putting so much pressure on them. Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like Mr. Ankrah's son? Why can't you be this? And then we keep comparing them. And sometimes there's so much pressure on this child or this adolescent. It can be peer pressure also to conform with certain things that are happening in their schools. And all these pressures are triggers. So if the child is pressured to the point where they are overwhelmed, they are stressed, it can trigger some of these illnesses that we are talking about. Not even the depression alone. The anxiety, the substance use, some of them are born out of the stress. Okay,
very well. Let's dovetail quickly into suicidal thoughts or actions that some of our young people get into. You know, recently airwaves have been awash with some of the young people because of relationship, broken hearts, and they are committing suicides. And what is it? Let's look at it in depth. Why the suicide among the young people?
Okay, so when it comes to suicide, it may be due to different reasons. If somebody tries to take their own life, as you said, sometimes there are reasons of relationship failures. Sometimes it may be due to certain life events. Some of these young people may be going through abusive situations that they feel like that's the only escape. Some of them may be involved in certain behaviors, for example, betting, which is now quite common, and then they may gamble away their school fees, gamble away some monies meant for other things, and sometimes all these may contribute to them having some of these suicidal thoughts. Also, when they are affected by some of these mental illnesses we are talking about, especially depression in a severe form, they may also have those thoughts coming in where they feel like there's, I mean, if you are having this feeling of worthlessness, hopelessness, there's nothing more in this world for you, then those thoughts start coming in. So the reasons why someone may have suicidal thoughts can be varied depending on what is happening around the person.
Around the person.
Yeah.
And when the flyer was circulated that I was having a psychiatrist on the show today, one of the young men told me, tell the psychiatrist that our problem is money problem. The economy is why we so the betting, do we have data on its effect on the young people? Because most of them are betting, and are they really dying out of it? How real is the situation?
All right, so the situation is quite real. The Mental Health Authority is currently collaborating with the Gaming Commission to create awareness. Yesterday we had a public webinar creating awareness about the effects of gaming on the mental health. So yes, a lot of people are involved in gaming, involved in some form of gambling here and there. Yes, not everybody that is gaming or gambling has a mental illness or is experiencing the mental health effects, but we just want that awareness to be there that it can affect your mental health, and you need to be conscious of this fact, and you need to put certain steps in place to be able to help yourself not to get to that state, because it is when they get to that state where they have virtually gambled away everything. Some of them end up in serious debt, that already the financial situation, like you mentioned, and then you have to pay up a huge amount of money that you don't know where you're going to get it from. All these contribute to it. So yes, there is some challenge when it comes to the gaming, and some people have what we call problem gambling or have developed gaming addiction, and that is where the mental health aspect comes in. Yes.
So we'll still look at the psychosocial issues, some of them, as I want us to do an in-depth analysis of them. Let's look at substance use. Once upon a time, it was cannabis with the different names, marijuana, jata, this and this, all over the place. It seems the youth are identifying more powerful, should I say, weapons that they are using. How do you, from where you sit, the abuse, substance abuse?
Yes, so I think substance abuse has become a common topic. Most media houses, and we are hearing a lot of stories out there with regard to substance use. It's something that is really, really worrying, especially given that most of the people using these substances, again, are the youth, the young people who are actually the future of our nation. And when it comes to substance use, like you said, there are a lot of substances out there that we call psychoactive substances that affect the mental health of the person that is using it. And in recent times, we hear about tramadol, red 225, and all the other combinations that people are using. And with all of these, the effects, some of them are quite visible, because we see some on the TV stations. We see people that look dazed, and I mean, they get stuck in the same awkward position for long hours and things like that. Some of them
in the middle of the road,
yes,
the street.
Yes. And it just goes to tell you how powerful some of these substances are, and the effect that it has on the brain. Our brain controls everything. Our actions, how we talk, if we have to walk or move, get out away from danger and all that. And once these substances are taken, you realize that the person is more or less not in control of their own actions and all that. So there is a big problem when it comes to substance abuse, especially in these times in our country.
With the red, the opioids, that it's all over the place that the young people are abusing. I know it has the potential to cause death, or what the extreme use of it. Do you have cases brought to you and you could trace it to their use of red 225 and things?
Well, yes, opioid abuse has that risk, because when you look at opioids, they fall under a category of drugs that can cause what we call CNS depression. And that means that if they are taking in certain quantities, they can actually depress the part of your brain that controls your breathing, your respiration. And because of that, some people can overdose on these drugs and actually end up dead. So that is a fact. It is a possibility, and it can happen. However, personally, I haven't encountered anybody that has been brought to me, unfortunately dead because of this. But we do know that it is something that happens. And then it is, and sometimes, you know, when these things happen, they don't happen in the hospital.
Yeah.
They happen in the community. So sometimes some of these people may be found, but they may not be brought into the hospital. Sometimes they would find their way into the mortuaries and things like that. So it is possible that some of these things are happening in our societies.
So viewers, if you're just joining us, this is The State, and today we are looking at mental health. We are looking particularly about the well-being or mental wellness of the Ghanaian youth, because the youthful population that we have as a nation, that is the most productive workforce category, are battling with mental health issues. We see them on our screens every now and then. We hear of them even amongst students who are supposed to be studying. We've mentioned depression, anxiety, suicide. What is really happening? So the Mental Health Authority is up in arms, making sure that they save this wonderful generation from the claws of these psychosocial things that might have effect on the mental health of the Ghanaian youth. So we are in the studio with Dr. Josephine Stiles Darko. She's a psychiatrist and the Deputy Head of Communications at the Mental Health Authority, helping us to understand. If you've been following, she's broken down the terms for us. Maybe I will trigger and ask what is the difference between psychopharmacy and psychotherapy. Then viewers will be confused, but I trust her to help us break it down. Doc, so particularly depression, how is it managed? When they come to you, if somebody is depressed, what should the person do?
Yes, so if somebody is depressed, experiencing a combination of the symptoms I've spoken about earlier, they need to seek help. Because as I said, it may be at different stages. Some people can have mild depression, some can have moderate depression, and then there's the severe depression. So at every stage that you are in, there are ways that you can be helped and treatments that you can go through. So depending on the stage in which you are, we have therapy that the person can go through. There are medications that we can prescribe. And I must say that depending on what you're going through, you know, sometimes people think that, oh, if I go to see a therapist or if I go to see a doctor, then definitely I'm going to end up on medications and they are going to keep me on medications for life. Okay, so that is not usually the case. Just as we have for other illnesses, somebody can have malaria, take their medication for 3 days, they are fine. Somebody too may go to the same hospital with hypertension and they may have to take their medications for a longer period. So it's the same thing. When it comes to depression, there are, if it's mild, sometimes even moderate, depending on what is happening, we may prescribe just therapy. The patient may have to go through some sessions of therapy, and then sometimes they are able to pull through, they are able to do well, even without medications. In some instances as well, we may need to add on medications to the therapy to be able to help the person to come out of that depressive state. So it largely depends on what stage the person comes to us in.
It is out there, Doc. It is out there that with the medication, the moment they start you on the medication, you won't come back, you won't recover.
Okay, so yes, so that is one of the myths that we are trying to break. Okay, so people think that once you are diagnosed with any kind of mental illness, there's almost no room for recovery. You are branded for life. No, it's not like that. As I said, there are different kinds of mental illnesses, just as there are different kinds of physical illnesses. So you see people in a queue in a hospital going to see the doctor. Somebody is going because they have a cold, somebody because they have malaria, somebody because they have typhoid, somebody because they may have a cancer. You see, and all these different illnesses come with different treatments patterns. Okay, so for mental illness, it's about the same thing. If you come in, we assess you, we see your condition. So for example, let me use depression as an example. So there are people who can come in with mild, moderate depression. Sometimes we start them on treatment, therapy, even medication. For some of them, in about 6 months or so, they do very well. Depending on how the person is doing, we can decide that, okay, you are doing very well. So at this point, we start to step down your medication until we get to the point where we stop. And some people, after stopping the medication, still do very well. And then, I mean, you're back to your normal life. However, for some other forms of mental illnesses, which are a bit more chronic, those ones, when we say chronic, we are talking about an illness that is like diabetes, hypertension. Those are chronic illnesses. And that means that when we start you on your treatment, you may have to continue your treatment for a longer period of time, just like hypertension. It's the medication that is keeping the blood pressure down. So you need to continue. So it's not all that is the same. And I must say clearly that recovery from mental illnesses is possible. Recovery is possible. There is treatment available and recovery is possible. People come in for their treatment, they are able to return back to their functioning, go back to work, go back to their families, and still be able to contribute meaningfully to their society.
How affordable is the treatment?
All right. So when it comes to mental health conditions, again, it is not one...
it's an event, one-off thing.
Yes. And then, you know, there are also different kinds of hospitals. If you are ill and you go to a government hospital, we all know that it's relatively maybe a bit cheaper than going to a private hospital. Even the private hospitals, they are great. So it's the same thing with mental health. We have the government institutions where I must say that mental health care is largely affordable. So your medications, your what do you call it? Your therapy and treatments that you do are highly subsidized. Sometimes, if there are donations and things like that, even some patients can't get their medications for free. There are institutions like the church and things who, most of the time, you find them coming into the psychiatric hospitals with donations. Some come in even to take care of some bills and things like that. So largely, mental health care, yes, in general, it is not cheap, just like any form of medical care. But when you get into our psychiatric hospitals, mental health care is very affordable. Compared to elsewhere in the world, people will tell you that to even get an appointment to see a psychiatrist, it's a big deal. Yes. But then for us, even though our numbers are not as many.
I was coming to that, about 80.
Yes, yes. But I must say that the situation is improving. May not be as fast as we would want it to, but as the awareness is getting out there, a lot more doctors are getting interested, and we have a lot more doctors entering the training program. So there is some hope for increasing the numbers. But when it comes to affordability, I think that it is relative, but there is something for everyone. And you see, the mental health space, because we understand how delicate the issue is, it is not where people come in a crisis and we say that, bring your money before you are attended to. Yes, so
it is relatively affordable.
Yes, yes. And you know, with now too that some mental health conditions have been rolled onto the health insurance as well. So that also kicks into to be able to.
So when you witness or you observe certain malfunctions in any of your behaviors, or you should feel free to go to the mental health institution,
yes,
or facility.
Definitely.
Let me just in a minute, before we take a breather, find out from you, Doc. Rehabilitation centers, they are springing up all over the place. Some claim to be treating and healing and managing, and there are homes, residential homes, where people go and stay over a period and are spending fortunes just to make sure their people recover. How is Mental Health Authority regulating these rehab centers?
Okay, so for the rehabilitation centers, there are some that are situated within our institutions. So, for example, there is a rehabilitation center within the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. There is one within the Pantan Hospital. Okay, and then there are others which are private all over. So there are some of these rehabilitation centers that actually have are working hand in hand with some psychiatrists and some mental health professionals, and that is how they are able to deliver service and be able to treat people out there.
So there must be a psychiatrist with these rehab centers. Is that the standard?
Well, it depends on what the rehabilitation center is for. I must say that when it comes to mental health rehabilitation, it doesn't always just have to do with treatment or giving out drugs, when I say treatment. So apart from rehabilitation in terms of, for example, for substance use, that is one angle. Another angle is when they have received some form of treatment. Sometimes the person is well enough not to be in the hospital, but they may not be well enough to go back home. You see. And then we also need to create space in the hospital for those who are a bit more severely ill. So sometimes we have some rehabilitation centers in some parts, they call them halfway homes, where these persons can be can live whilst they finalize or recover fully before they go home. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So in such a situation, you may not necessarily need a doctor to be present. This person, when it's time for them to see their doctor, they will be brought into the clinic, and then they can go back. So that's what I mean when I say it depends on what the rehabilitation center is for and what they aim to achieve.
So viewers, we have been discussing mental health, in depth into mental health issues, and we are particularly interested in the youth. So mental well-being or wellness of the Ghanaian youth. And you just heard the psychiatrist and deputy head of communications at the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Josephine Styles Daku, breaking down the issues for us to understand. And I want to believe that if you've picked one or two on mental health, apart from all that you have always been hearing. We'll take a quick breather. We'll be back to find out how to address this challenge. Stay.
Praise God, praise God. Christ in tea, you respond, yeah, addition. I'm excited to announce to you, friends in the Lord, are you seeking for a platform where you can pray? Ope baby apeso bompai. Now ninyami edi inkita home. Bibi chiro so. And amanye bi na the same kum. And you come home. Let's go into the prayer room on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to meet seasoned ministers of God that God has raised to impact your life. Remember, John Wesley said, I have too much to do, therefore I spend several hours in prayer in able to do it. That is why we are calling upon you. Meet myself, Reverend Hosea Osei, and the Evangelism Missionary Renewal Directorate as we lead you into the prayer room where we encounter Christ. And I believe your life will never be the same. Call your friends or loved ones every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. where we will encounter Christ. God bless you. See you on our screens on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. God bless you.
This is the time, no more delay. Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited. This is the time. No more delay. Call a friend to call another that it is time for the young people to connect right here on WTV. Welcome to Y Connect, where we connect youth to Christ. The future is here.
Break. So we are talking mental health, and we are looking particularly at youth mental health, or the well-being or wellness of the youth. We've had interesting conversation. We have looked at the numbers. We have looked at the factors that make us get depressed one way or the other, and even have some of our young people consider suicidal thoughts. And the one about betting, because most of the young people claim man must survive. The economy dictates what they should do. It can have effect on their, in fact, it is having effect on their mental health. Let alone talk about the red, that thing they've been calling, that opioids that you see our young people standing and dozing off and sleeping and not being able to. It's a crisis. Must we take it serious? That's why the Mental Health Authority is out there making sure that awareness, the advocacy is created so that the young people are saved, so that they can hold back and be the people who future generations can look up to and say, you helped develop our nation. So we are in the studio with Dr. Josephine Styles Daku, psychiatrist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and also Deputy Head of Communications, Mental Health Authority. Joe, welcome back from the break.
Thank you.
So, Purple Month, Mental Health Authority, you have been doing more of advocacy. And in fact, mental health advocacy began not now. Every now and then you've been doing it. What are the setbacks? What are the challenges that the education or the awareness is still confronted with?
Yes, I mean, the challenges are broad. I mean, to be able to get into every corner of the country, it takes a lot. I mean, this year we are blessed to have some audience within the media, like we are doing here, and we are grateful to WTV for this opportunity. The other challenge out there is there's still a lot of stigma out there. So we are trying to get the message across, but there is still that fight back. Some people still have their prejudiced mindsets about mental health. And that is one thing that we are trying to get around. The judgments, the discrimination is one of the reasons why, even though people understand that what they are going through is a mental health challenge, they are unable to come out, speak up, and seek help. And it is one of the reasons why this year our theme says that mental well-being, my voice matters, telling everybody that your voice matters and so be heard. Speak up. Let us open up to the conversations about mental health. Another challenge, again, I must say, has to do with funding. As an authority, we should be able to do a lot more that we are doing now. And one of the challenges is funding. So our doors are open. We are open to collaboration, to people coming in, benevolent NGOs, individuals coming in to support the work that the authority is doing. We would love to be in all the regions. We would love to carry this work out there, because we know that once we are creating the awareness and all that, we also need to make resources available for the experts to be able to do their work well when people come out and come to them. And that is something that the authority really wants to do and do well. So we are open to funding opportunities to help further this cause as well.
Yeah, we have in our communities in particular, especially our community health nurses,
yes,
and they are helping with the treatment, and the clients come and they go.
Yeah.
They have raised concerns that they find it in their day-to-day operations that when some of these clients recover, they wish they could be engaged in handiwork or a craft, or more or less get them something to be doing. It's a concern. Has it come to you that those who come out must be employed or more or less get something to be doing?
Yes, definitely it is a big concern, because as we said, for somebody to be mentally healthy, they should be able to reach their potential. They should be able to contribute meaningfully to society. And one of the ways of doing that is to have a skill, to be able to do something, earn something, take care of yourself, help out with your family. Yes, and that is why in all our psychiatric hospitals, you would find what we call the occupational therapy units, where some of these clients and patients have the opportunity of engaging in some of these skills and being able to get into some of these trainings. But again, the issue of funding and being able to do this on a large scale comes in. So again, if there are agencies out there, there are a lot of NGOs out there who can come in to support, help these people to find something to do. You know, sometimes there's even a challenge after we have treated them, getting them back into the society, back into their homes.
Their own homes?
Their own homes. Sometimes their family doesn't want anything to do with them anymore. maybe because of something they may have done when their mental health was affected, you see. So rehabilitation and reintegration, that is what the authority is keen about, because we have to, as a community, open up and include them, you know, break that stigma, so that people can even, yes, sometimes the family wants to take the person to learn a trade. The person that is going to accept this person and train them hears that, oh, this person had a mental illness, and because of that they say there's no space, or I can't take this person. So the stigma itself is a barrier, okay. And then also the issue of funding and helping them to acquire these skills is also another.
Very well. So we've mentioned the issues, especially confronting the youth. We've mentioned depression, substance use, anxiety disorders. Yes, we're going to look at how to address some of these issues. But let me find out from you, Joe. Do we have eating disorders? Is it a mental health condition?
Yes, so eating disorders are also issues, and usually, again, it falls within the age group. Largely, they are not very common within our setting. They are more common in the West. But yes, eating disorders are there, and sometimes they go hand in hand with what we call body image issues, where these young people have this perception of what an ideal person's body should look like. You know, the image that is put out on social media, if you're a woman, you should have some curves somewhere, your waist should be a particular size and all that. And sometimes some of these influence some of these disorders. So eating disorders where usually they either avoid food or they eat and then they find a way to get the food out of their system, either by inducing vomiting or purging or something like that, just so that they can maintain a certain weight. And sometimes it is even delusional, meaning that this person may not even be overweight, but because they have that delusion that they are overweight, they may be doing some of these things.
Some of these things.
Yes.
Good. So now let's look at how to address these issues.
Yes. So how to address these issues? First and foremost, education awareness, which we are doing. Know about it. Know the signs. Be able to recognize the signs early, so that if something like this is cropping up, we can do something about it. The other one is talking. Speak up. Let's come together. Let's create that space where we can all discuss mental health issues. Let's tell everyone that it is no longer a taboo to talk about. We have to talk about it because it is affecting the youth. It is causing some of them to lose their lives, even to suicide. And if anyone happens to be in any such situation, please, there is help available. Come out. Talk to someone. If you don't know where to go, you can start by calling. The Mental Health Authority has a toll-free number, 0800 678 678. That is 0800 678 678. There's always someone to give you some form of psychological first aid, to give you some emotional support, and also point you in the right direction.
The stigma bit, how do we address that?
So for stigma, largely people stigmatize because they don't understand, because of some experience they may have had, and then also because they are misinformed. So how we deal with it, first and foremost, is by educating people and by sharing our success stories. You see, when people come out to let you know that, hey, they said that when you have mental illness, you can't recover. But look at me, I'm thriving, I'm doing well, I'm that bank manager, I'm that person that you value and revere so much. But I have been there before and I got help and I'm here today. And then people begin to understand that, oh, it is actually possible to recover. This is not the end of the road and we can actually get them help. Then the stigma can be reduced.
Then the stigma can be reduced. Dr. Josephine Stars Darko. She is the she's a psychiatrist and deputy head of communications mental health authority. She has been helping us, and today we've been looking at mental health, particularly amongst the youth, the well-being and wellness of mental health. So mental health is important. Let us talk about it. My name is Gabriel Nii Otu Ankrah. Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend. Make sure you rest well enough. We are back on your screens on Monday. Goodbye.